this is the first time in Nigeria's financial markets history that corporates are raising debts in billions of naira and at a record pace, from banks to industry giants and telecoms big names. Broad Street is currently filled with commercial papers and bond offerings never before seen. On Friday this week, Nigeria's telco giant MTN will be closing its 100 billion naira debt offering, one of the largest so far in the new year 2021. Chatting to us on this tonight is Lanre Beluro. He is the managing director in charge of capital markets at Chapel Hill, Denham. Good to have you on the show, my friend.
Thanks, Bo.
Great. Let's start from the Nigerian investment market and what's driving corporates into this big ticket right now.
Well, it's definitely led or driven by the capital needs. The bank, which is the traditional normal sources that a lot of corporates tap into, don't have the ability to offer tenor. And coming to the capital markets, there's a very, sure, well-defined process of raising capital. You can get tenor. And from a pricing standpoint, you can also, get good pricing on some of the instruments you're looking to raise. There's a fixed nature also to the debt they're raising. So banks, some of the loans they get from banks are very variable and they can change at any time depending on what the macro and liquidity in the system is. So I won't say it's a new phenomenon, but I think it's been more understood and more explored than usual.
What are corporate issuers in Nigeria looking for in the economy and the business environment?
That's quite straightforward, Bo. I think it's a case where, ultimately they all want an enabling environment. They want a place where, customers can buy their products without any interference. Of course, the macro is a big issue. And of course, they want an environment on an economy that's booming. So that's how they drive their sales growth. That's how they become profitable. That's how they're able to innovate. So it's like what anyone wants. The same question I ask you, bro. What do you want, in your economy or in your country? Is to be able to, get a good job, be able to pay for your bills, and even need to raise capital. Of course, I think it's an environment where you should be able to, particularly local currency capital. That environment is very, very important. And I think, from a basic level, that's what a lot of corporates are looking for in our markets and also in our economy overall.
Yes, but despite the challenges in the economy, the ease or unease of doing business and all of that, isn't it surprising that these big names are doing debt commercial papers, from oil and marketing to telco giants such as MTN and a whole lot of others, cement and others, flour mills, everybody's in the market. What does that show about the Nigerian markets, the economy itself?
Well, the economy is moving, right? It's well developed. I think it's an opportunity to raise debt. I think it's not the best time to do equity, if that's what you're trying to hint at. All these companies are listed. And and if you look at our equity markets today, it's not as robust as we'll like it to be. So, and now, for this entity, you have to do a follow-on offer. But I think debt, in terms of, it's a lot of investors also like to invest in debt. So, there is a market available for them to tap into. I think from a cost of funds perspective, I think the debt, given the tenor and the finality, this is 7 years, right? So it's well understood. So I think it's a case where this is the time. Some people would tell the pricing is, the pricing environment is quite difficult today. But I still think overall, it's an option that's available to a lot of corporates. We think more corporates should actually come to the debt capital markets to raise capital. And these are even companies that are not listed. I think coming to the debt capital markets prepares you for future issuance on the equity side.
Okay, so look at MTN, for example, in the market till Friday for a big offering. What's the rationale here?
Everyone knows what MTN is. It's a big growing concern. They're trying to diversify their funding mix. They, like any other corporate, depend on banks for financing. They have, realized and they're, frequent users of the markets. As you know, they did 100 billion commercial paper last year. They issued another 75 billion this year. It's to finance capex. Subscriber base is growing. They're investing in their network. They're rolling out 4G. Rural telephony is big. You'll be amazed the penetration levels in the rural areas. It's the opportunity is huge, and they're investing ahead of demand. And I think for a company this big, I mean it's look at the MTN group. MTN Nigeria is the biggest contributor to top line and EBITDA. So it's very, very important for them to continue to oil this business, continue to raise capital, long-term capital, to finance their growth. Also to really diversify and optimize their funding mix. Is reason why they're one of the reasons why they're also coming to raise this bond.
So what can what can the investors look at for in this particular debt offering?
It's a 7-year instrument. It's priced from a range of 11.5 to 12%. And if you look at it compared to the benchmark FGN, it's offering definitely upside, almost 100 basis points from what you would get if you buy a federal government bond. So we think it's quite attractive. I think it's for a lot of investors, particularly our long-term patient capital investors, such as your pension funds, insurance companies. MTN is definitely a corporate, it's definitely an instrument. Their bond, it should be in their portfolio. The quality credit is one of the highest rated companies in Nigeria. And I think, and most of the investors that we talk to also hold the stock. So they benefit from both sides. They're collecting very strong dividends and also going to be getting a nice coupon if they invest in this bond.
So how do big ticket transactions such as the MTN deepen the domestic debt market or the capital market in general?
No, I think just like what they're doing right now, raising the bonds. I mean, there are other corporates you'll be hearing very soon looking to come to the market. There was a BOA cement bond that happened sometime last year, huge. And you look at the balance sheet of these companies, you look at the revenues of these companies, and you see what they do, how they contribute to the GDP of the country. These are big companies. So yes, 100 billion looks very big, but in the grand scheme of things, it's just a drop in the bucket, and they definitely will be coming into the market to raise more capital. Look at the telco sector. And look at the contribution does to the country's GDP. We all knew, we're very familiar with the GDP growth from last year. GDP was down about 1.92%. One of the very few sectors that was growing was the telecom sector. And MTN is about 50% of that telecom sector. So it shows how important this company is to the overall economy. From a telecom infrastructure standpoint, they're creating jobs. They're contributing to in terms of tax, how much they pay in terms of taxes. I think MTN, or should I say telco sector in general, outside of the oil industry, are probably one of the biggest investors in FPI in terms of also in capex in the country. So I think companies like MTN, companies like BOA, Dangote, and other corporates coming into the market, as they continue to raise more capital in the DCM and the debt capital markets, it continues to deepen.
We thank you for your time tonight. I'm sure it's all about the resilience and the confidence in the economy, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It is, definitely. And I think, again, as I mentioned, proceeds of this bond raise is to finance growth. Whenever a company is investing in capex, is growth. It's about the future. If you look at the subscriber base of MTN compared to the industry, and compared to our population growth, there's a lot of room for growth, and it's very important that investors do support this bond offering.
And of course, it's a time for big tickets, big issuers to also make big money. By the way, that's a conversation for another day. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Lanre Beluro, Managing Director, Capital Markets at Chapel Hill, Denham.